I'm Carolee Garrison, and this is Seeking Sunshine, where we are going to find the positive in the trials of life.
'Cause I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, 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 I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine.
Hey, I'm Carolee Garrison, and welcome back to Seeking Sunshine. I am so excited to welcome Rachael Curfew this morning. She is such an inspiration. Rachael Curfew is an anxiety coach, and she has a program called Anxiety is a Gift that is just amazing. Rachael Curfew is a wife, a mother, and an anxiety coach extraordinaire. Today, she's going to talk to us about seeking sunshine in anxiety. Welcome, Rachael.
Well, I am super excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I love coming and sharing stories of just inspiration and light and hope, because we all need that, right? We all need some kind of hope or light or inspiration. And as you get to know me, you'll discover I say often that women need other women, because we do. We need other women to help inspire us and motivate us and encourage us. And we just can't do this crazy world alone. So before I jump into it is so true. Before I jump into my story, if we haven't met yet, I'm Rachael Curfew, and just a little about me. I'm an anxiety coach, but I actually coach on all kinds of things too. I just happen to focus a lot on anxiety, and I'll tell you more about how that came to be in a minute. But I'm married, and I have my husband and I share 6 kids, 2 dogs, and we live in Utah. And we have a good little life, a simple life, but a good life here. But my story started out a little bit different, because most young ladies don't grow up thinking, gosh, I just can't wait to grow up and become an anxiety coach. I just can't wait to help people with, anxiety and depression and struggles and challenges. That's not usually something, at least for my generation, at least, we didn't say that kind of
That wasn't your 6-year-old dream to
Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. So when I was 6 or a little girl, I actually was labeled as shy. I got called shy a lot. And what I realized when I started hitting high school and those early college years was I kept thinking, I don't think I'm shy. That just didn't feel right with me. Now, as a kid, I didn't know better. And when our parents or teachers tell us that, we rise to it because we don't know any better or different. So I lived growing up as a shy person. But when I hit that spot where it was a little bit older, those, high school, early college years, and I really had time to kind of start thinking about stuff, I was like, that doesn't feel right. I don't think I'm shy. And what it occurred to me was, I'm scared of everything. I'm afraid. I wasn't shy. I was afraid. And I started noticing that in everything I did was this underlying level of fear. What if I go to this party and people see me or notice me? What if I play the party game and I don't do it right, or I don't know the answer or whatever, and then they laugh at me? Or, and it went on. And I started realizing that not only was everybody around me happy, or it seemed like they were happier and having more fun than I was, but I started noticing, I feel like I'm standing on the outside of my own life and watching my life pass me by, and I'm missing out on it because I'm standing over here in the shadows, scared. So that was kind of my introduction to what is all this fear? Where is it coming from? Why do I have it? And what am I going to do about it? And at that point, I didn't even really know the word anxiety or what that was or what that looked like. I just knew I was kind of living in this state of fear, and I didn't know why. Well, fast forward a few years, many years, all of a sudden now I'm a mom, and I'm in a not good marriage. with a lot of hurt and trauma and pain, not just me, but my children. And now all of a sudden, I've got this cute child that is in so much pain and so much fear and so much anxiety. And now this is when anxiety truly steps into this chapter of my life, really is where I learned truly what anxiety was and what it involved and what it looked like, because I was watching my children. And I did all the things that I could do at the time that I knew to do. I was trying to be a good mom, trying to help my kid and my family, and all of it. We're doing counselors, therapists, group coaching, sand therapy, water therapy, play therapy, the whole shebang, EMDR, you name it, like everything that you could possibly do.
Well, and honestly, adding all of those things on adds another layer of anxiety. I mean, when you have therapy all day long, every single day, and everything is scheduled to a T, that's overwhelming.
It's not only overwhelming, which is a good point, it's financially and emotionally draining. And on top of that, now we have a new problem. Besides just dealing with the first initial problem that's causing the fear or the triggers or the traumas or the whatevers, now we have a new label, especially for our children, that's scary for them, because now all of a sudden we have a child that has this label of, you've got one more thing wrong with you. And when you give that label to a child, all of a sudden now they lose a lot of hope, and they think they're broken, and they think this can't be dealt with or overcome or healed or solved or whatever the wording is. That's tragic. And I know in the world we have to create these labels of sorts to help get diagnoses, to help, get insurances to pay, to help get teachers to do IEPs or special needs. And I get all of that. I've been down that road. But when you attach it to the child, though, just like I became shy because that was my label, if we're not careful in how we attach these labels to our children, they will become those things. And they're too little to know it's just a diagnosis, or it's just to get help, or it's just for this purpose or that purpose. They just get really overwhelmed and scared.
They take it to mean that's who they are.
Yeah.
When it's not.
Yeah. That's now two big, huge problems for them. That's huge. That's overwhelming. So it's a tricky thing to navigate. So I, as a mother who felt like she was failing through those years, big time, I spent a lot of time reading, researching, of course, going to all these counseling visits with my kids and doing all of these things, trying to figure out answers. And all of a sudden, the weirdest things started happening. These counselors, I had two different therapists say to me in different wording and different situations, but two different scenarios where they said, how did you know to do that? How did you know to help your kid that way? And one of them even had the nerve to say, can I write that in my book? I'm writing a book. Can I use that? And I was like, maybe I'm learning something in this journey. Maybe I'm figuring something out here. Maybe I actually am not so far off the mark. Obviously, I didn't know how to deal with it in the beginning, but maybe I'm learning and growing as a parent here too. So that's kind of where anxiety coaching began. I ended up leaving my not good marriage, coming across the country back home to where my family was. And I thought, okay, now I'm a single mom with kids where none of us are doing well. We are all in counseling. We are all struggling, and I still need more answers. I still need to fix this, right? That's what we want to fix it. And we want to help our kids. We want to fix it. And
if we could just get to a point where we're not in crisis for like a second.
A quick minute would be nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as we were going through the counseling and all the different things, I was like, I guess I'm going to try and figure out how to go back to school. I need to go back to school to figure out and how to take the things I'm learning and finish learning what else I need to learn so that I can help my family. and then maybe help somebody else. But at that point, it wasn't even there quite yet. It was like a little seed that had been planted in my heart, but I had no idea what that looked like or where it would go. The important thing was, what could I do to fix me and my family still? Like, we still had to figure some things out. And ultimately, it wasn't the right timing and the right fit. And I couldn't find a space where I could, through the traditional, like university, college type programs, it didn't give me the flexibility to with my being a single mom at that time. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't be away that long with kids that were in crisis. But I needed something, and I can't explain how this happened other than truly I believe strongly in God, and I believe in divine timing, and his hand is in all things. And one day I was led to a beautiful program that was like, in that moment, you just know, like, bam, this is where I'm called to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I actually that's how I entered into the coaching world. And I've spent now almost a decade doing training, certifications, learning about anxiety, studying anxiety, working with people who have anxiety. And it has been a beautiful journey, but I truly believe that it was one of those things that happened because I had to go through challenges. I had to go through something really hard to gain the experience and the knowledge to be brave enough and not be shy or anxious or afraid to put myself in there and find that spotlight for me where I could feel comfortable and shine and grow myself as a person, but also create light for other people around me, including and especially first, my own children.
Because through this whole journey, you're not just trying to help your kids, you're also trying to heal your own anxiety and struggles, right?
100%. Yes. It was like, how do I navigate this so I can be a role model and a leader for my children? And I believe strongly that you can't lead someone somewhere you haven't already gone. So I was trying to learn, what are my limiting beliefs? Why do I have these fears? Where are they coming from? Whose voice in my head is, constantly, saying these little thoughts, these fear-based thoughts? And then what do I do about it so that I can then help my kids? It ultimately spilled over to people asking me all the time before I even got into business, when I was still trying to help my family and just figure it out for us. I would have people say things to me like, how did you get through this really terrible, marriage ending, divorce, moving across the country, single momming it, being dirt poor, trying to figure out like how to like navigate all this and be happy through all of it? Like, how are you not on medications? How are you not in treatment therapy? How are you not drinking or drugging, or like, how are you doing this? And that was really interesting question to me, because I kept getting it again and again. And I started looking around at where were the sources of light. And for me, that's in God in a lot of ways. But where did the light come from? How could I still be happy? And a lot of it was because I was grounded in seeing good. That is something that's always been easy for me. Yeah, it's something that even in the hardest, craziest, scariest time, I can still feel happiness. I can still see positivity. I can still see the kindness of others. I can see God's hand in things. And I've just always been able to do that for whatever reason. That is something that's just part of me and who I am. That's not an easy thing for a lot of other people, though. That's sometimes a real challenge. I was able to do that. And because I could feel and see my own light, I could see the light of others. And it makes it easier to magnify your light and then be able to share and teach that with others. So that's kind of how my story came to be. It's one that's thankfully has a happy ending, as far as, I had the big challenges and I've kind of overcome them. And now I'm doing good and helping other people. But that doesn't mean my story's over. And it doesn't mean I don't have lots more to learn and more challenges to go through. But that's the part, is we have to get good at finding the good and finding the joy in the midst of in the hard times too.
Absolutely. I do have a question for you. As somebody who I have some anxiety, but it's more like triggered from life experiences. But I do have kids with anxiety, and my husband has severe anxiety. And one thing that I've learned is that people who are struggling like that tend to trigger each other a lot. And when you all live in the same household, it can be especially difficult because you're constantly triggering each other, and everyone knows which buttons to push and how hard to push them to get certain reactions. And so what's your advice on that? How do you deal with that in a family situation?
That's a toughie because I get triggered by my family, not my clients, believe it or not, but my family for sure, because we have a different level of investment when it's our children or our spouse. And so it is a little trickier. So what I have to share is not a perfect solution, but I get it because I've been there. One of the things that I like to believe in, that even when it's my family that is triggered and it's triggering me a little bit, one of the things I have to do is I have to stop and I take off my mom hat for a minute and I go, hold on. In order for me to get through this, I got to separate myself for a minute. This is their story. This is their moment. This isn't about me. And I have to separate the two for just a few moments until the emotions come down. And then I can say, okay, let me get my mom hat back on. And I can be there for them and love them or coach them or help them or whatever they need. But the challenge with that is when I say take off my mom hat, I'm not saying disconnect my heart. I'm not saying leave them alone in their pain. I'm not saying that.
You're saying it's not about me and letting it be just about them, which is such a hard thing to do as a mom because everything your kids do kind of reflects on you and affects your entire life.
Totally.
So it's great advice because it's really hard to do that sometimes.
It is hard to do. And that's why I literally picture taking off a hat and putting on take off my mom hat and put on a coaching hat. Because for me, when I go into coaching mode, I can separate the two. So I would encourage people to find whatever your hat is, take off the mom one for a minute and just say, I'm here to just be in this space for you. I'm not here to fix it. I'm not here to change it. I'm not even going to talk you down in this moment. I'm just going to be here and hold a space that's safe for you to feel this emotion. It's okay to feel this emotion. It's okay to go through what you're going through. And when we kind of then can bring it down a little, then it's really easy to say, okay, now what are we going to do about it? What's the strategy or what's the coping skill or what's next? But in the heated emotion, nothing needs to be said or done.
That's really great advice. What I find is that it's thinking about the future consequences of, oh no, what is this going to mean down the road? And just pausing that, I think is what you're saying. To just stop that for a minute and just be present. That's such good advice.
Yeah, just be there. Most of us, I'll only speak for myself, but when I'm struggling or sad or emotional, I don't need someone to come in always and fix it or try to, husbands, mothers, they're really good at, let me fix it. Just give me something I can do to fix it. Let me make it better. Sometimes though, especially being female or being a child, sometimes we just need to cry it out or feel the emotion. And in those moments, that is when we truly are our most vulnerable and our most authentic self. We don't fake those moments. That's when we're really, truly just present in the moment, experiencing something. And so what we usually need, and I won't say that's the case for every situation, and I know sometimes with small kids or special needs kids, there's some different strategies involved. But generally speaking, all we really need is just to hold a space for that person. It's just let them feel the emotion, let them work through some of it out of their body. And then when the emotion comes down, then we can have the logical conversation next.
Okay, so along with that, what do you do when it's kind of a time-sensitive situation? And you kind of, I have 3 little kids, and so getting to school every day, and then we have these things that happen on the way to school, and we have panic and we have anxiety happening. How do you keep moving and still be on time for school with that?
Yeah, how do you hold a space and let them validate their feelings, but also like get to school? Like, come on. It's something like that where school is something familiar to them. It's ongoing. They've been doing it a while. What we can do is, and again, every situation is a little different. This is just one suggestion. Obviously, kids are different, special needs are different, so we have to tweak. But one thing I like to do, and I do this for myself, but it works fantastic with kids, is I give myself a timer. And I will say something like, I'm going to be fired up, angry, mad for 2 days. Like, as an adult, we can have a bigger time because we're still going to function and do our stuff, hopefully, and be productive. And if it's something super huge, I'll be like, for 2 days, I can cry, I can be mad, I can vent, I can tear up, I can break down, I can, if I need to punch my pillow, like whatever it is, for 2 days, I'm just going to be mad. But I'm also really good at saying, 2 days is up now. Did you get it all out? Because you're done. What are you going to choose next? So with little kids, the way we tweak that is we can actually get out a timer, which is really good because they have a visual then in front of them. It can be just on your phone or whatever, a watch or whatever. And we're going to say something like, you know what? I can tell you're really upset, anxious, afraid, worried, whatever the word is, to go to school today. So what if we set our timer and for 2 minutes, and you may need to adjust that obviously on the age or the ability of the child, but 2 minutes, what if we both just sit here and just be really sad about it? Let's cry, or let's just be sad about it. And just again, it's holding the space and validating, I see you're having a feeling. I'll just sit here with you and we'll just feel the feeling. But then you go, and then the timer beeps and you go, all right, that was 2 really good minutes of sadness or worry or whatever, feeling anxious or scared. And then you say, do you feel better? Well, no, I don't want to go to school and I don't feel better. Great. Let's put an alert right here in my phone right now. And tonight we'll do 2 more minutes. We'll come back to it. We can do more if you need to still do it some more, but it's now time to go to school. So let's go to school. But after school, I've got a timer right here and we're going to sit down together and we'll be sad some more for 2 minutes. So that's teaches them a couple things. One, that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in life, even if we're struggling, we still have to get up and get moving. It also teaches them that it is okay to turn on and off an emotion. It's okay to say, I'm giving this emotion this much time and I still need to feel it. I'm just going to go to school, but then I'll come back and we can do it some more. It doesn't mean we're brushing it off. It doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean just turn it off and get over it. It means let's give it some love and attention right now. And then we'll come back if it needs more love and attention.
That's fantastic. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Yeah, my pleasure. So, yeah, the great thing is it starts to teach them that they actually have more control of their emotions than they realize. And like I was saying before, I could feel happiness and gratitude and joy even amidst my trials.
And I could see that tactic being really good for even myself when I'm feeling frustrated with my kids or whatnot. Like, I could see that being really helpful for everybody.
Absolutely. And like I said, I do it myself. If it's something I know I'm just really upset, somebody's hurt my feelings or I'm angry about something, sometimes I'll even say, can you get a week? You probably need a week, because I know myself. But never, ever, as I've been doing this for a lot of years, never, ever do I go the full length of time. I'll even say, okay, because I've just trained myself to know what's coming. So if I'll say, okay, you get 3 days just to be fired up, afraid or scared or anxious or mad or whatever, usually about a day or day and a half into it, I'm like, oh, this is dumb. I'm over it. I'm fine. I validated. I gave myself the time. I gave myself permission. And I think that's the key here is a lot of times women think, I can't be anxious. I can't be depressed. I can't be mad. I can't be angry because I'm not then being who I'm supposed to be or who God wants me to be or my parents want me to be or whoever it is. But we were given a full range of emotions, the bright colored ones and the dark colored ones, to use as tools. So give it permission to show up, give it permission to stay a little bit, give it permission though to pause itself and come back to it if you need to it. But we need the whole rainbow. We need the whole rainbow of emotions. And so in order for that bright light to then come back and shine. So it's okay to feel the storm, just then let the clouds part and let the sun back in when you're done feeling it. Don't get trapped in the dark colored emotions. A lot of people get scared of them and they think, oh no, something's wrong with me. I felt anxious. I felt scared. I was mad and I'm having a hard time letting it go. And then we add more dark colored emotions like shame and guilt and those thoughts of I'm not good enough. Why can't I get over this? Why can't I forgive? Why am I this way or that way or whatever? And we don't want to add all that. That's not necessary. If you just give yourself permission in the beginning to say, I'm going to be angry for 3 days. I'm going to be hurt and angry and bitter for 3 solid days. Great. Feel the darker colored emotions. And then you don't have to feel shame or guilt because you gave yourself permission to have that experience. And after the 3 days, you can then say, now what am I going to do with this? How am I going to part the clouds? How am I going to move forward? That's a very, very different experience than staying stuck in the darkness. Does that make sense?
I love that. And I especially love this idea of giving ourselves permission to be upset or scared or whatever we need to be when we need to be it. Because, I don't know, I have a really, really busy life and it just seems like I never can give myself time for that because there's too many other things that I just have to do. But it's so important to set that aside and be like, okay, it's all right. It's okay for me to be upset right now. Like I have the freedom to give myself that time that I need. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that women sometimes have to do, because we are busy and we're being pulled 100 different directions every day and all the time. So sometimes, we have, like I said, big things where I say, okay, I need 3 days or 7 days, but sometimes we've got 10 minutes. And sometimes that's crying in the shower. I'm going to just sob my guts out and swear or cuss or whatever we have to do, vent, complain, whatever. I've got 10 solid minutes. But when we give that emotion and our body and our spirit permission to feel that, it then usually goes.
It's no longer bottled up.
Yeah, you're not forcing it down with 100 other things. And so you're not carrying that heavy emotion. That doesn't mean there's still not some work to do or something to solve or heal or fix or whatever. But if we can bring the emotion down and not carry the weight of it, makes it a lot easier to then see solutions or opportunities for growth or change. And that's a whole different place to operate from versus in pain and darkness.
I feel like it gives those emotions less power because when you take away time and freedom, it makes it more powerful. It makes it scarcer. It makes it stronger somehow.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. Let out some of the energy so that it's not a raging storm, this force inside of you that's making you be hurt and in pain because then what happens is we snap at our husbands, we snap at our kids, we don't have patience when they do things, we don't have energy because all our energy is going to this big storm inside of us. So if we just give ourselves permission to storm, to feel whatever that is, that no storm, no matter how intense it is, no hurricane, no tornado, can only last for so long. The intensity can only last for so long and it fizzles out. So if you just allow the storm to happen and your kids to storm as they need, with some guidelines though, like setting a timer is just one example, then all of a sudden we can go, okay, now the emotion's fizzling out. Now the skies are clearing, the light's coming through, the sun's starting to break through. Now how can we grow from this? How can we move forward? What's the next steps?
This is making just something in my life suddenly like make more sense. So my youngest is 7, and he does have a high functioning autism diagnosis, but it's a little bit, you would never know it like looking at him. He's very talkative. He understands everything. He's been struggling so much with violence at school. He actually just recently got moved. He had to leave his school because he had been suspended 10 times since school started, which has only been, a few months maybe. He'd been suspended 10 times. He got sent home constantly. I mean, we had weeks where I had to sit with him every day because he would just have these violent outbursts. And he's normally so sweet. But so he's been moved to a behavior unit at a different school. And he had one day where he struggled, day 1, and every day since, and we're on week 3. He's been an angel. He's been fantastic. He's been so good. And I've been trying to figure out, like, what is this difference? What is making it? And I think it's because they have a timeout room. They have like a padded room just off of their room, because this is a contained classroom for kids who struggle with violence and anger. And so when he gets upset, he can go in this padded room and just let it all out and then come back and do the things he needs to do for school. He can come back and be back to himself. And it didn't really occur to me until you were saying all this about letting your emotions out and how that kind of fizzles out the storm, that he's been given a chance to let all his emotions out, instead of at the other school where it was, well, you're being dangerous. There's nowhere we can put you where you're not going to be a danger to other people, except for sending you home every day, which was not a good solution. And so now that he has the opportunity to let off those emotions, he's able to come back to it and be fine again, which I've been trying to figure out what was the difference and why he's able to be successful in this environment when he couldn't be successful before, because we had the entire school, every member of their staff was doing everything they could to keep him happy and to help him with his struggles. I mean, he had the counselor, he had person after person after person using all these strategies with him, and it just was not working. They loved him so much and they were trying so hard, and it just was not working. But I'm realizing from what you're saying that it seems like this opportunity that he's been given to let off his emotions when he needs to is what's saving him and helping him be successful in school. So thank you, because that is a huge realization for me.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's doing well. One of the challenges with especially children who are having big emotions and they're reacting to, school stressors or friends or whatever's going on, or home stressors, whatever. They go to school and then they're like teachers, because they have a big classroom and because they have kids with all kinds of needs and demands and needs attention and need help all the time. It's hard being a teacher, but all of a sudden you've got one kid acting up and the teacher's like, sit in your chair, be quiet. And if they are having this eruption that's getting ready to come, this emotion is so big, at some point it's going to come out one way or the other. It just is. It doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult. If we build up and build up and build up, it's going to come out in some form or another. And so what I love is that he is being more successful, because when he feels the emotions rise up, he does have that place, to go blow off some of the steam, vent. I call it venting. Like we vent out some of that emotion so it can settle down a little bit. Even the right strategy or the right coping skill is not going to work in any human being if the emotions are so huge. You've seen, every one of us have seen a kid in the grocery store laying on the floor, kicking and screaming, throwing a fit because their mom won't buy him a candy bar right that minute. And the mom is embarrassed. And so she's either doing one of two things. She's either trying to logically talk them through this, or she's losing her marbles and she's like, stop it, get up right now, because she's so embarrassed, right? But neither works, because the emotion is still so strong. The kid's brain isn't processing. And it's the same at school. If the kids get so much emotion build up, and then the teacher's like, sit down, be quiet, go to the office, go see the counselor, and they're trying to talk through that, they don't hear it. They don't process it.
Well, and it occurs to me,
bring the emotion down.
It occurs to me that he's gone from an environment where they were afraid of those emotions. They were afraid of his big emotions and they didn't know what to do about it. To now he's in a place where they see that every day. They are not surprised they have to clear their classroom frequently for kids having angry outbursts to keep the other kids safe. And when they had to evacuate his classroom at his old school, it was a huge deal. Like, they'd never had to do that before. They didn't know how to handle it. But at this school, big emotions are there often. They are very familiar.
And you bring up a really important point, which is if we have children that are struggling with anxiety or depression or anger or any special need or whatever, we need to make sure we've done everything we can with the knowledge and the resources and the tools that we have to put them in the best place where they can be successful. And so moving your son was probably a gift in that he can be around other people and see this isn't just me either. I'm not the only one with that label that I'm not enough or I'm broken or something's wrong with me or whatever. In his world, there's a whole classroom of kids just like him, and they're all learning together. They're all giving opportunities to have big emotions. They also are all being given opportunities to go into another space that's safe and experience those emotions without getting in trouble for feeling an emotion. That's really beautiful because he'll have as he has opportunities to let out the emotion, he'll also then learn more coping skills and strategies, and he'll learn how to bring that emotion down quicker, and he'll also learn how to not get so angry too. But I love that he's in a place where he's being successful and being taken care of in a beautiful way.
It has been really good. I have to say, I was fighting it for the longest time. I fought so hard to keep him at that school, but it's been really, really good for him.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad he's doing well. That's one of the great things too about the more people we can help see the light and set them up for success, the more then they get to be a light and a help to others. And that's kind of, I think, what you and I have in common is we both have had hard situations. We've both gone through things. We both have lots to our stories. And our stories aren't over, but we both still want to find ways to help other people, to help them, even as we're going through our own stuff. We are more successful by helping other people. And I think that's what's really cool about things like the podcasting or coaching or the different things that we do is that we still, even in dark times, we still have a little spark in us always. We can tap into that spark. And when our spark ignites, it always burns brighter when we help more people. We can never dull our spark or we never experience darkness when we are doing the things that light us up and help us be happy and successful. And then when we share it with others.
That's one of my favorite ways to seek sunshine is to help other people. And what I've realized is for myself that I have this deep longing to be seen, to have my story be seen. And then I was realizing that other people need that too. Other people want their story seen. And so that's why I'm trying to do this podcast and interview people to bring that pain and those sorrows to the light, because it deserves to be seen and appreciated. Because so many people that I know have been through such difficult things, and especially mothers. I mean, we sit there and we do things like scrub poop off the walls over and over and over again, and no one sees it because you're sitting there doing it alone, and I've sobbed scrubbing poop off the walls, and just to have the opportunity to help people be seen in that pain, in that struggle is such an important thing.
It is. I love that because, the example I use all the time is very similar to yours. I say all the time, we don't get thanked for scrubbing the toilets. We don't get thanked for cooking dinner very often. Our kids don't run in and be like, wow, Mom, thanks for spending all afternoon grocery shopping and then cooking me dinner and cleaning it all up. I just really loved it.
And putting it all away, which is...
Yeah. Exactly, right? Seriously, we don't get that. Being a mom is a very thankless job most of the time. We do get those little rewards here and there. Our kid will come up and give us a hug or say they love us. And boy, does that help us sustain us and give us a little bit of energy and momentum for a while. But it's a tough job. And I think that you're exactly right. We often think we're the only ones who can understand and nobody gets it, but we are more alike than different. Our challenges or circumstances may be different, but our feelings and feeling not seen and not heard or not good enough, like I said earlier, I feel like I was the biggest failure of a mother ever for a long time because I couldn't help my kids with their anxiety, with their trauma, with their struggles. So, but we are not the only ones and we are not alone, and our efforts do matter. And cleaning dirty walls and dirty toilets and making meals seems like we're not making a difference in the world, but we are. We really, truly are. And our story matters. And our stories do need to be told and shared. They do matter. Our lives matter.
Thank you. So talk to us about seeking sunshine and anxiety. How do we find something? How do you take something that feels so bad, that feels so scary and gut wrenching and awful? How do you take something like that and find something good in it? What's positive about that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's positive, does it? In fact, over the years, when I've asked women, what is anxiety to you? And they all say just similar to what you said. It's dark, it's heavy, it's punishment. I've heard torture. I've heard like everything you can imagine. Nobody says it's just wonderful. I'm just so glad I have it. Like nobody says that, right? Because it doesn't feel good. And so our brain is super amazing. And as we are bringing in, 60 to 70,000 or more thoughts and pieces of information a day, it has to sort it out very quickly. And so I like to teach my ladies that I work with that it files it into 2 filing cabinets, just initially to like do an overall sorting as it's bringing in all that information. And when that happens, it either goes into a pain folder or a pleasure folder. Now, if I'm worried about something, going to school, being in a social situation, going to my job, having an interview, giving a talk, whatever triggers your anxiety, well, automatically our brain goes, is that going to be painful or pleasure? If somebody says, for example, hey, would you like to teach a class this week at our church? And your brain instantly goes, pain or pleasure, without you even realizing, pain or pleasure. Well, if you've had experiences in the past where getting up and teaching was embarrassing or you messed up or it didn't go well, your brain's going to go, let me scan the folders, and it's going to dig down through and it's going to go, okay, every time she gave a book report in school or taught a lesson at church or, gave a presentation in college or whatever it was, anything it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Anything that's even similar or has some overlap, brain's going to pull that file out and it's going to be, oh, this is all painful. And so what happens is your brain says, I got to show up and help her. I got to protect her. I've got to get her attention. And so what happens is it sends a signal to your body, causing you to, through some physical reaction, everybody has their own unique anxiety signature pattern. So somewhere through butterflies in their belly or tightness and tension in their shoulders or headaches or fidgeting or whatever, crying, whatever it is, your body starts expressing these physical symptoms to say, wait, you're getting ready to do something that could potentially be painful. Are you sure you want to do that? Because I really don't want you to feel rejection or embarrassed or not good enough or whatever the emotion is. So are you sure you really, really, really want to do this? The trick is most women or individuals at this point, they don't know how to turn that off then. Once they recognize the brain is like trying to protect them and show them something, help them, protect them, keep them safe, do something good for them, we let the alarm keep going off. And that's the challenge here. When we go to like our smoke alarm goes off in our home because we burned some toast, we clean up the toast. We go, oh, I know what happened. The alarm went, the toast burnt, the alarm went off, the alarm's trying to protect me. But do we leave the alarm going? We don't, because even though it technically doesn't get louder, it sure sounds louder and it feels louder. And it builds up and it builds up and it builds up until if we had to live with that going all the time, oh my gosh, that would be terrible. We go crazy. That's the difference, though, with our anxiety alarm. The only difference is we don't turn it off. And our smoke detector at home, we go turn it off. Once we know we're safe, we turn it off. So what I like to do is I like to teach women. Again, I keep saying women. I do work with men and some teenagers and things, but generally I work with women, so it's habit to say that. But when I work with these people who have their alarm going off, what I like to teach them is, number one, how to discover what their own unique pattern is, so that when they start to feel those physical symptoms, they go, oh, this is my anxiety alarm. I know I'm not having a heart attack. I know I'm not having this health problem, that health problem, because I now know the difference in my body. This specific pattern is anxiety. So we know we don't have to rush to the hospital or something like that. Now, of course, always, if we're ever not sure, go to the hospital. It's better to get checked out. But usually we can start to separate those. The next thing I like to teach individuals is then how to turn it off. Once your alarm has said, here's what I'm teaching you, here's what I'm protecting you from, then we want to turn it off. The next thing we want to do, though, is set up strategies for that person that are customized to that person and their life and their anxiety pattern, so that those triggers are less. And when new triggers pop up, we know exactly what to do in the moment. So anxiety is a moment, not days, weeks, months, panic attacks, or whatever. So that's kind of what we do. The process of that, I call anxiety as a gift. And that's where people roll their eyes at me.
Definitely tell us all about your program. That was the next thing I was going to ask you. Tell us all about it.
Well, anxiety as a gift is not supposed to be the gift day one. Day one is still supposed to be what we said a minute ago: scary, overwhelming, painful, torture. We don't start out just day one going, I haven't had anxiety for 30 years, but today it's a gift. It doesn't work that way. It's a journey. And the journey I take people on, and my program this specific program is for women, but it's a 4-month program, because I don't know about you. They say all the time, I don't know who says this, but they say all the time that it takes 21 days to change a habit. Sometimes I've heard 28 or 30 days, 1 month. Either way, 20 anything is not enough for me. I need way more time than that. So if you've had anxiety and your alarm going off for a really long time, you're going to need some time to learn the skills, learn the strategies, go through the process to start to believe and plant the seeds that, wait, actually, it is a gift. I just haven't taken the journey yet. I haven't learned how to do this yet. And so that's kind of what we do in that 16 weeks. It's a really fun process. They get a video each week to their email inbox. Then I do private work with them. We have a once a month live group session that we do where everybody gets to just come and talk and share and connect. They this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I need help with. We love each other, pray for each other, support each other. It's a beautiful process. And so that's kind of the program in a nutshell. But the idea is, when these women come to me for this program, like I said, day one, they're like, anxiety is not a gift. And they tell me I'm nuts. And I say, I know. But let me take your hand. Let's go on this journey together. You're not going to do it alone. And little by little, they start to move out of that fear and that darkness. And as we cross that bridge nice and slowly together, the light starts to shine. And all of a sudden, they start to see, oh, wait. Anxiety showed up here and it was a help and a protection. Or, oh, wait, I was able to accomplish this or this because now I know how to use my anxiety in a positive way, a fueling way, and a way that builds energy and creates momentum. And so women, halfway through or towards the end of the program, I'll ask them, like, what do you want to do? If anxiety, now that you know all these things and anxiety is not controlling you, like, how do you feel? And they're lighter, brighter, happier. I can't believe how fast this works. Things like that. And then I say, well, now what do you want to do? Like, if the skies are parting, the light's coming through, like, what do you want to do? Just because you're a mom, just because you have kids, just because you have your responsibilities, you are a person and a human being first before that. What does that person need? What does that person want to do? Because that's going to help you be a better mom and be a better whatever it is that you're doing. And so what's really beautiful about it is, like, I had one lady, she said, I just really wanted to go. I wanted to be a teacher. I went to school to become a teacher and I'm not teaching and I'm too scared to go back. It's been so many years. I don't know if I can do it. Well, she got a teaching job, not much long. Like she did it. I had another lady partway through the program who said, Rachel, I have this silly dream and I'm embarrassed to even say it out loud. But she told me, and she said, I want to host a women's retreat. And within I said, great, how can I help you? How can I support you? I've done women's retreats. I've hosted those. I do events. And I said, how can I help? And so we talked about some things that she was like, well, how do I start? What do I look for? What do I do? And within a matter of a few weeks, she not only had a place booked, was marketing for it. She had people signing up. She had planned out the itinerary, and then she called and asked me if I would be the guest speaker. And of course, I'm going to show up for something like that. I had a lady just this week say to me, I've worked with you for less than 2 months. And she said, I'm going to start calling you Home Depot. And I was like, what? I was kind of confused. Like, why Home Depot? And she said, I thought this was going to be long. It was going to be hard. It was going to be this big process. And she's a little bit of an older woman. And she just said, I expected this to be slow, hard, difficult, painful, because I've had a whole life of this. And anyway, long story short, she just said, going through this journey with you is like you taking me to Home Depot, taking me to the exact tools that I need and helping me pick out the ones I need and how to use them. And so when I'm done with this journey, I'm going to have a full toolkit of all the things that work for me and my family. And so, and I don't share these things. None of them are my wins. None of them are. The only gift that I get out of it is watching these women transform, watching them, being a witness, a personal witness to them coming out of this belief that they have to remain in darkness and pain, and watching them slowly 2 millimeters at a time step out of that and into the light. And that's my gift, is it just lights me up. And then I'm able to, because I'm lit up, I get to help somebody else. So that's kind of what I do and what I do with women. And it's a beautiful journey, but that's kind of the program and what I do.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Is there a website? Is there some place? I'll put it in the show notes, of course, but is there a specific place you would send people online to look into this more?
Absolutely. There's 2 places they can go. One, if you are like a lady, I have a group called Anxiously Engaged for Women, and that kind of is the hub for everything. We announce every program, class, event, anything in there, anything goes in there. So it's a beautiful group of women who very kind, very supporting. We don't have drama there. It's just a really good space. So that's always, if you're a Facebooker and like that, of course, that is a great spot to go.
And I am in that group, and I love that group. It's amazing. And I recommend it to people all the time. When somebody is writing about how anxious they are, that is where I send them.
And you do that. And I appreciate it. Thank you. You really are good at that. The second thing is I am a much better coach than I am a website designer or a technical back-end person or all of those things. So I do have a website, and you are welcome to come to it. Don't judge. It's always under construction. But I have a cute little team that helps with it, but it's kind of on the back burner. It's not our top priority. We just want to show up and help people. But there is a website, and we do post things. The programs are there. There's one called Relief for mothers who have little kids who are struggling with anxiety. Of course, we have our Anxiety as a Gift program. We have an Anxiously Engaged classroom that we've gotten up and going again recently, where you can sign up for classes. So there's one right now that's free on there. There's one that's $19. We try to keep those very minimal so that they can accommodate any person or their budget. And so all of those types of things are always on the website. And that's just rachelcurfew.com.
And then you also have your podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
Oh, I actually podcast a little bit on the side in my spare time. The podcast is called Anxiously Engaged, and it is available on every major podcast platform right now. And
you have some wonderful meditations on there. I have loved those. They've been really fabulous.
Thank you. Yes, meditation was not something, or creating them was not ever something I thought I would do. I love meditation, but I never thought I would be the one creating them. But we do have, I believe, 3 on there right now. And believe it or not, they get more listens than almost any of our other topics. The great thing about those is I always create them for a particular client. When somebody comes to me and they're struggling, and the ideas always come from working with a client. So I create the podcast, and then they have that to listen to help them get through what they're going through. So those just kind of get created as needed, but they always have a lot of listens. But there are some great topics, and we have a lot of interviews with some other amazing human beings, just like you're doing, who are trying to create light and help make the world a little healthier and a little happier.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I super appreciate it. You are just amazing. And you are helping so many people. I love it. It's great.
Thank you for having me. I love every opportunity to talk and share, and hopefully even just today's conversation will help one lady, even one human being, just go, oh, wait, there's hope, there's resources, there's tools, there's people who love us and care about us. And
this is something,
making a difference. Yeah.
This is something manageable. This is something that I have power over, that doesn't have to control me
100%.
And take over my life.
100%.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, Rachael. It was truly inspiring, and I personally learned so much. Please join us next time on Seeking Sunshine.
'Cause I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, 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 I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine.